2020 in August, I then opened the restaurant. I was actually a freelancer as a research consultant. A lot of businesses shutting down. I then decided maybe it was the right time, the opportune time for me to start the business. Business on its own is actually no child's play. You need to really be creative. Do these people have money? Do these people have disposable income? Do these people need your service? You don't always need capital. So you need to have good relationships with suppliers.
Business has to be making at least $1 million. What's good, guys? My name is Tony, back with another video, guys. So in today's video, we are in Katlehong. We're gonna be learning from business owners, local business owners that started their business from nothing. So guys, please watch to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, and mainly watch till the end, guys. But anyways, guys, today we are here at the balcony restaurant. As you can see, we are here to learn from the owner of this restaurant on how she was able to grow this business into what it is right now, and how it started also. So yeah, guys, I hope you become inspired on starting your own restaurant if you have those goals. But anyways, guys, yeah, let's go, man. I just want to know, for the people who don't know you first, who are you, ma'am?
Okay, so my name is Masesi Rakosa, and I am the managing member at the Balcony Restaurant and Pub.
Fantastic. So we here because we want to learn from you. I don't know if you are the owner or just the manager.
So I double up as the manager and the owner.
Okay. How did the Balcony Restaurant and Pub actually started? Like, what inspired you to start this restaurant?
Okay, so basically, my history is that I have been in business, and many years ago, around 2005, I actually started the restaurant, and at the time it was called Maboho Restaurant, and for some reason, the local people or the market wasn't ready for a township restaurant. All right, especially I say that because, it took a while to take off in this business. So eventually, what I did was I leased it out to some young entrepreneurs that decided to then open up or turn it into a nightclub. And so the balcony lounge then came to play. That ran for a good 5 to 6 to 8 years, somewhere there. And then after a while, I then decided to terminate the contract, and the business shut down. I don't know, it was probably around 2000. So from 2000 and about 18 or thereabout, the business wasn't actually active. So the premises were closed. And then going into COVID, obviously then there hadn't been anything, and the landlord then decided, the landlord, obviously I was representing my mum, so the landlord decided no, she needed a tenant because she now needed some income out of the business. And shortly after COVID, that's when I decided to then go into the business, to come back full time into the business. So in 2020 in August, I then opened the restaurant, the Balcony Restaurant and Pub. And yeah, we've been running the restaurant ever since. And I guess it came out of just a need to be able to do something, because at the time that I started, I was actually a freelancer as a research consultant. And with COVID and a lot of jobs getting lost, a lot of businesses shutting down, I then decided maybe it was the right time, the opportune time for me to start the business. And I basically started or thought of a restaurant because it's something that I'm very passionate about. I really enjoy cooking. And I was taught how to cook actually by my mom. So it was all the recipes that I learned from my mother's kitchen that I decided maybe this was the business I should go into.
So you didn't study culinary,
No,
being a
not at
chef.
all. Not at all. So I remember when I was in grade grade 10, which was standard 8 at the time, um, when we get to choose our subjects. And when I was in school, home economics was the subject that was actually teaching us about cooking. So I remember choosing my subjects and my father saying to me, no, he's not going to pay for me to learn how to cook. My mom would teach me how to cook at home. So I never got to choose home economics. So unfortunately for him, I started a business in culinary, which was then based on my mother's cooking. So maybe he was right. My mom was supposed to teach me how to cook so that I could start the business.
Okay. What has been the biggest challenges from when you started being an entrepreneur, like the entrepreneurial journey? What has been like the most biggest challenges for you?
Business on its own is actually no child's play. And entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey. So one of the most important things, of course, when you are in business is to understand the market that you're playing in. And I think for me, that has been one of the biggest challenges. I actually didn't do my research as I was supposed to have. And I just plunged in, got into business, thought, no ways, man. People always want to eat. People will always come, and support the business. And I remember thinking, should I relaunch the business? Should I change the name? Because what I realized is that the balcony lounge actually had a legacy. So I thought I would ride on that, and I think that for me has been the biggest challenge because now people don't understand who the balcony restaurant and pub is exactly. It's now a case where people are not sure what I'm doing. They're not sure whether it's a restaurant. They're not sure whether it's a dance destination. So I think my messaging has been very poor. So my messaging has been poor, which means I haven't been able to reach my correct target market. And as a result, then I haven't been able to realize the growth that I'm expecting. But initially, when the business started, I had, it was growing nicely. And of course, when you're in business a year in or 18 months in, you look at, some of the expenses that you're incurring, and it obviously leads you to, upping your prices. And I think I lost quite a few customers at that point when I had a price increase in the business, which was very unfortunate. But over and above that, the most important thing for me that I've learned that has obviously not allowed my business to grow as well as it should has been the marketing. And so in recent times then I've been putting more effort and more money or budget towards marketing.
Oh, okay. So and also, what has been like the most rewarding parts of owning a restaurant? Also.
I guess the most rewarding thing around business, obviously, it's the satisfaction that you see when your customers are happy. You know, yes, profits are great to have, but the most rewarding thing is making sure and seeing how happy your customers are at the end of the day when they've experienced the food and the hospitality at the balcony restaurant and pub.
That is very great. That is like fantastic. So for when you started and when you started, let's say you could turn back time and go back to when you were starting the business, what advice would you give us your younger self when you were starting the business?
Sure. I think more than anything, creativity. You need to really be creative. You need to to know who the people that you're catering to are. And so, marketing or research is really one of the most important things that one should look into. Also being able to understand your business. How is it growing? Are you growing well? Are you not growing? What's happening with your finances? Because one of the other key challenges that small businesses do face, that I just neglected to mention earlier on, is your cash flow. Cash flow can be something that's very difficult because, you find that a lot of the time you've got money stuck in stock, so you're unable to stock your other products, so that can delay business a bit. There are times that the economy also plays a big role as to what's happening. Why are people not buying? Is it the state of the economy? People don't have jobs. So you need to really understand your market and who is it that you're targeting. Do these people have money? Do these people have disposable income? Do these people need your service? Because if you're in a space where people don't have money, because the area that I'm based in, for instance, the unemployment is rife. It's really it's a huge challenge, and people aren't able to afford some of the meals that you serve, and some of them obviously they aspire to be able to, and some of them actually don't even relate to the business because one, we are on the first floor and some people feel intimidated by things like that. So at times it's just about understanding your market, and if you've got a possibility of having two different target markets, then you need to utilize that. So for instance, to cater for the local market, I need to look at an offering that's affordable for them. Sometimes do I create fat cakes that I can sell throughout the day, that people with a really low income or that people are depending on a grant, for instance, can afford. You've seen how people also, turn to ikota. Ikota it's like a local staple food, but it's not because people love it or whatever, but it's something that's affordable for them. And in terms of health as well, is it a healthy thing? So you always have to be looking at all of these things. What is it that you're selling? What is it that, people want? Is it something that, that I don't know? Because I mean, if you think about it, during the week, our business is generally very quiet. So if that's the case, then it means all my target market, who are the working class, they're out there working. So the only time they get to experience my offering is on the weekend. So then I obviously also need to look at other markets. Do I go into corporates and start selling to corporates? Because those people have regular meetings, they have trainings, they have, team building exercises, they have all of these functions that they have during the week, that maybe I could even look at targeting them. Or do I look at maybe offering a canteen service? So I've got to really be flexible to be able to see what is it that can actually make me more money without using the brick and mortar. So what other ways or what other income streams can I actually look at, capitalizing on?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know probably like a lot of people struggle when it comes to like funding their business. So what are some strategies you know of, like, where if I wanted to start a business but I don't have a funding, how would I secure the funding to be able to start the business like you did here?
Yeah. So truth be told, like I said, at the time that I started my business, I'd been a researcher, a freelancer. So I had some savings, and I also had an option to ask family and friends to give me a loan, because a lot of the time, formal institutions like banks or funding institutions are very reluctant to give you money if they don't have a track record of what it is that you've done. So I'm also very reluctant to say each and every business. I mean, there are a lot of businesses that one can start without the actual capital. You don't always need capital. But in my case, for instance, like I said, I had been running the business prior, so a lot of my equipment was still around. So I started using that, and then plus my savings, plus some of the money that my friends and family injected into the business. So yeah, so those are the ways that one can look at to start a business in terms of funding. Also, you need to have good relationships with suppliers. You know, you need to be able to go to your suppliers and chat to them and help them see, this is how well your business has grown, and there are times that you run into cash flow problems, and then sometimes they can give you 7 to 14 days credit, where they'll give you stock and then you pay it 14 days later. So you need to be able to create those relationships with your suppliers.
Okay, okay. I didn't know about that one actually. Okay, what do you think are the perks of registering a business? Like, would you suggest a new business owner or a new entrepreneur who wants to be in the business area on registering their business first and then, you know,
So it's a good idea to register, because compliance is very important when you're running a business, especially because if you want to get funding, and all of these institutions, generally they want you to be registered, they want you to be compliant, they want you to have SARS, they want you to have all of a bank account, for instance. So compliance is good, and obviously in the food industry it's also very good to have your safety standards, because should anything happen and people get food poisoning, then you'll find yourself in trouble, because then your business can get shut down. But if you're part of, like an industry body, then at least it makes it, it gives you peace of mind, and it also gives your customers peace of mind. But on the whole, it's just a matter of obviously government also wanting to make sure that you're contributing to the fiscus. So through whether it is your taxes and that sort of thing, because at the end of the day, if for instance you're a supermarket, then you're also helping collect tax for the taxman, which is why when it's time to file, then you're submitting all of these receipts so that government can thank you and say, oh, thank you for collecting on our behalf when they are not able to collect. So you become a very key person in the economy as a whole.
I thought your business has to be making at least 1 million rands for you to start paying tax. Is
So
that
you're not paying tax, right? So what I'm saying is that as a small business, because they different thresholds, they the government, yes, will say, submit your returns, submit everything that you've done, but yes, you'll get tax exempted because you haven't reached a certain threshold or you're not making so much money. Mara, they saying to you, yes, we need to collect VAT. We need to collect VAT, because even when you go and buy, there are things that that have been included with VAT. There's a 15% that's been added there. So you're basically helping SARS or the government collect tax, but then they give you back the returns to say, okay, thank you very much for doing the great sterling work you've collected on our behalf, and then they'll give you whatever it is that is due to you.
okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, let's talk about the menu. So,
Yeah.
I saw kind of earlier on that your menu is mostly focusing on traditional food.
Yes.
So, what inspired your menu?
So, like I said, I grew up, with my mom teaching me how to cook. So, a lot of the food that I cook in the restaurant is food that would he eat at home. So it's very traditional, because I come from a very traditional home, like any other African person. So we've got mohodu, we've got oxtail, we've got pork trotters, we've got beef stew, and we've also got fish and ribs and wings. And these are all some of the recipes that I learned from my mother's kitchen. However, there are also some that people have also requested. Every time people came in, they'd ask for ribs or wings or chips or, some finger foods and things like that. So I included that so that at least I gave my menu a variety. We also serve breakfast if people, want to have breakfast. So everything, I promise you, everything that we sell at the restaurant is food that I grew up serving to my family. Growing up, I mean, I used to have to cook every day for my parents. There was a time that my dad was a vegetarian. We needed to be very creative around that. So I'm able to also cater for people who are vegetarians that don't eat, fish or beef or mutton and that sort of thing. So it's quite an eclectic menu. It's got a nice variety. And now and again I'll do something interesting like maybe ox tongue, you know, and those are just cold meats that I like to offer some of my patrons when they come here.
This is like the last question. This is the last question. So, I know, no, it's two last questions. I mean,
Okay.
so you have this person who wants to start their business, their restaurant, but their capitals they are on zero. So, what do you think would be the steps for that person to be able to start their business and run it successfully? What do you think is the recipe on that?
So if somebody wanted to start a business like this one, they would need to understand what it was that they would like to start cooking, right? Of course, you need to raise money, or maybe you might have a nice rich friend that you can ask for money, or maybe even if I, for instance, had money as the balcony restaurant and you approached me and you said, "Oh, Usma Sesi, I need to start a business," and you show me what it is that you have in mind, not a business plan per se, but just show me, and I'll look at your commitment or your interest or your passion. What is it? And then I'd probably take a risk and put money into your business, and then I'd obviously monitor you and mentor you to make sure that you do grow eventually. Or I could even say, come start with us and learn some of the ropes with us. Let us mentor you before you actually start a business, so that hore, when you get into business, this is something that you really want to get into. Because it's nice for people to get into something that they know. So giving somebody an opportunity to come and learn the ropes of running a business would be a nice way for them to really decide whether they did want to do it or not. Because, some people just do things because, you know, they just want to feed the family. But if it's your passion, then definitely you'll never work another day.
I think also there's people who struggle when it comes to they have this business they want to start, but they are currently not making any money or less money, or they are eating out of the profits of the business. And then they also have family which needs to be taken care of, and the family is struggling financially. So in situations like that, would you suggest like a person to do? Like, should they find a job and then, or focus on their business? Like, wow.
It's a catch-22, Ngempela, because business is not easy, to be honest. And I think that's one of the things that really, leads to failure in our businesses, because we eating from hand to mouth. So one of the key things that I would suggest would be, save up as much as you can, a little bit, kanyane, kanyane. Eventually you'll be able to say, yes, I've managed to save. And then whatever money, don't put it back into the business. Maybe you save some and you put some back into the business. um or you'll have different savings pockets, if it's for the family, if it's for the business, or if it's for savings for the business. So just make sure that you've got a plan as to how you manage your finances. Also, look at talking to your bank. Your bank can also help you. Your financial manager can also help you to be able to advise you as to how to go about it. But honestly speaking, you can't really expect profits in the first 3 years, guys. You can't. that's why it can be so difficult that people just give up because they're not seeing the profits. But it takes resilience, it takes, hard work, and it really takes a commitment. And that's why they say at times that entrepreneurship can be such a lonely journey, because yo you go through a lot, you have a lot of sleepless nights, you're not making business, you don't know where your next stock is coming from, and people think it's easy, but resilience keeps you there, and eventually with the resilience and the consistency, you will pop, you will definitely succeed.
Okay, this is the last thing. So, what are the future plans of the balcony restaurant and pub?
Sure. So more than anything, I need to be able to look at a franchising model. Okay, so I definitely want to franchise the business. I want to see how it would do in different markets outside of the township. So I'd have to look at, getting space, because I can't run a franchise if I haven't had 3 outlets, for instance. So I need to be able to duplicate what I have here in different markets. So I'll need to go into a different space, like maybe into a town or into the city or a mall, that sort of thing, and then see how it does there. And then look at another market, like, I don't know, I'm still going to be able to, I'm still going to do the research to be able to see which other markets it would thrive in. And then based on that, if those are successful, those 2 other outlets are successful, then we can definitely look into franchising the model.
Okay. Last thing to say to the viewers.
Yeah.
Anything to say to the
I
viewers?
think more than anything, guys, we really need to start looking at what, as entrepreneurs, one of the most important thing is solving problems in our community. So businesses come out of that. What problems are you solving in your community? And think outside the box, look at different ways and interesting ways to start your business or solving problems in your community. And also, don't be scared to start, guys. We as entrepreneurs are the future. We are the ones that are responsible for creating jobs. And think big, but start small, but eventually you know where you're going, and work backwards. So yeah, I'd love to wish you all the best, and don't give up. And if you need any advice, speak to us. We've got more than enough wealth to share with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Wow, guys, I've learned a lot from this interview. So I really hope you've learned a lot too and you watched to the end. But, anyways, guys, don't forget to subscribe and comment your thoughts on this video and like the video. Anyways, I'll see you on the next video.